a lot, but it is very tight margins at times. I mean, obviously, we had that double overtime game yesterday they had to win, so good that they can come through in some of those scenarios, but they'll be hoping they can just close it out in regulation this time. It is Anonymo starting on that T side, and we're already getting into the action.
Yeah, get this game underway. Poison taking an extra look out by that red container. Not spotting anyone yet. It will be key to set us off to the races here on Nuke by dropping Poison. And that is the power of purchasing that P250. They have two of them on the T side. So job well done. That gives them access to Mini if they want it. Looks like they're going to creep forward through the smoke. That seems like it's very risky, but now they're all the way over towards Hell, and this is again from the CT side hard to deal with. Nice shot from BlameF. Is he going to be expecting a second one? He did expect it, but just couldn't land the shot.
I think that delay from Kyler made it so that it was harder for BlameF to expect that second player. You normally expect the fast trade to come through, and now Anonymo are getting all the kills they need. Config can only do so much on that B site. A single kill before he's traded, and Rush gets isolated by that P250, and it's that man Key, who's been so good for Anonymo throughout this tournament, that comes through with a triple to win them that pistol.
Yeah, incredibly well done. Config certainly very confident to hold that position where he's wedged up against the wall, but there were just too many targets in front of him. So well done, Key with the triple, and Anonymo to win the pistol round. That is, well, that is exactly what they needed. I don't know if they can breathe a sigh of relief just yet, but at least it's one step in the right direction. They're going to go real quick here. Look at Key blowing up the door and charging him via the MAC-10. They are not going to slow this down.
Oh, JKS dealt with on the site, but Innocent looks up to the heavens, gets a second kill with that MAC-10, and that should keep things comfortable for Anonymo. They'll get that bomb down, and they've got themselves into a good position with a fair few nades left to use in this post plant.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess it could be a bit risky rushing the A-bomb site like this, but if you're going to do it, it's not such a bad round to do it in where you know they're not going to have Molotovs and HEs and everything else. Doing it later on when they're fully equipped is definitely not advisable. So you just have to roll the dice on that one, and it worked out just fine. They're going to try and save the deals and the scout though on the complexity side. So let's see, still out here looking for a kill. Ooh, all right. Config gets a say in the round after all.
Better than nothing, but it is a 2-0 lead for Anonymo. Definitely keeping an eye on their investment for this round. They should be aware that Complexity have those save guns, but won't have much more. So there's an argument to be made for going for more MAC-10s, but they decide to buy a couple of AKs, which I think is also fine. As long as you survive with, 3 players, you can probably save all those AKs. You can keep those valuable weapons, and they're going for the same play again.
Yeah, no chill at all. Going straight for it. Oh, no, they're getting shut down. That was too much of a good thing. Instead, it's JKS with a double Config with a kill, and now Snack's on his own in a 1 versus 3, and he goes down to JKS. A third kill to be added. And yeah, I bet they felt like that was really cheeky, but it blew up right in their faces.
Wow, that just fell apart so quickly. I guess part of it is not having as many MAC-10s in this round might make it more difficult to run and gun and to go with the same sort of pace. But I guess the bigger problem was just that this time Complexity actually had players committed to the site. They didn't have that same sort of gamble setup where A was almost entirely open. And now this puts Anonymo in a really weird position where they've been able to buy 1 SG for Innocent, but almost nothing else in this round.
Yeah, and it's an interesting pickup as well. Certainly very powerful weapon still. But obviously the problem is, if you give it over to the CT side, it's also very good for them. So got to be careful. Key able to revenge that one. It's not so bad. JKS and then Poison out here. And this is not a scout. This is now the AWP. Deep Molotov. That's going to certainly slow them down if nothing else. Snacks. He knows where that Molotov came from. So he wants to try and take the fight. And maybe he had the right idea. He was a bullet away from taking down Poison. But they're now in a 4-on-3.
Nice that they were able to recover that M4, though. even if they've lost the SG right now. Config tapping away and eventually taking that kill. Should be good now. JKS with a solid spray, and got a bit scary to begin with, but it is a convincing round win for Complexity in the end. They can put themselves in a pretty good position to kick things off here on Nuke, because Anonymo will be buying, but it is slightly shortchanged for them. You can already see some nades missing, some weapons missing, but definitely a capable buy for them.
Yeah, they could do a lot of damage with this kind of a pickup, but yeah, there are some things that they wish they could have probably upgraded a little bit here. Some nades outside, but in terms of the pacing early on here, I mean, for Complexity to be able to shut down that round and already tie up the scoreline, that's not really the explosion of momentum that Anonymo were hoping for. That's a bit of a shame. Oh, that's close. They'll at least get the return right away. Poison not able to get anyone through the smoke at the moment. They're going to be running down, and they're making a lot of noise, and JKS is hearing it. Nade, they're already past. He's not realizing. He's not hearing anything at all. The grenade did do a lot of damage, but probably not worth it here for the fact that he went down.
Config trying to make up for it by committing to the B site hold. There aren't many good positions to play from here, though. You can feel quite vulnerable to different spots, but he's still able to adjust for the initial kill. More players at the ready. Minio eventually trades, and Poison caught out in the open. It's Rush left behind the smoke. He would have loved to have the chance to trade his teammate, but he doesn't want to take that risk. Anonymo is still searching for his position. He's not going to give it away just yet.
They still have 30 seconds, and once they know where he is, it's a very different game. They can try and play around that, so I don't really blame them for spending the time here. He has a Molotov, so if they wait too long, that in itself can be a really big issue if he can land it right on top, and he's not sure. Yeah, bomb is right down there. Rush now starting to walk out, but he's going to get caught. Key, important peek there before he got too close, and Anonymo will win the round, and I don't know, it's hard to say. Maybe there's no way that JKS would have heard or anything, but if he would have thrown that grenade initially and sort of got back around the corner and not died, that would have been really big. But yeah, him getting caught, that certainly started them off nicely to that towards that attack at the B bomb site. So yeah, and Anonymo, I like the slowdown in that 2-on-1 as well. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely felt like that kill onto JKS was just the key to open up the round for Anonymo, because if he just puts up a bit of resistance, just buys a bit more time, maybe Config can get into a better position on the rotate, but instead he has to awkwardly stand out in the open. It ends up being a round that Anonymo are able to win with some good composure at the end there. It's still a competitive game, though. Both teams buying up, and we've got that AWP back out into the hands of Config. Double AWP set up at the ready, but here come Anonymo.
That's like 3 people jumping against the M4A1. I don't even know what kind of a weapon you'd need to stop that, but certainly not that one. Blame F down here with the UMP. JKS is done and gone, and they have 2 AWPs that they desperately need to save. I'd say almost this point, give up on Blame F down here. Never mind the UMP, just get those AWPs away from Anonymo here, because this round is already won for them. There's no reason to also give them some great equipment.
Even Blame F trying to get away, and he is going to be successful in doing so. Looked like a tough task, but he finds a way out of that. Config will also be called back by his team. They're sticking around to see if there are any exit kills available. Blame F would love an upgrade, but the jumping Mac 10 of Kyler is going to deal with him, and now Config's in trouble. This shot on the AWP, he goes down. It's only Poison who has the chance to survive, and they'll try and run him down, but he'll get back round the corner. Oh, he's going to go for the fight. Good shot, though. He gets to save the AWP, but there is going to be very little else for Complexity.
Man, I mean, once the round is over, it felt like they took a long time to make that call to try and actually move away with those AWPs. So long that it seemed like when they did it, it was no longer even possible. So that's kind of shocking and obviously incredibly expensive. Anonymo, though, I mean, to their credit, right back in the mix, starting to step up their game a lot here, and in the lead 2-4 in their favor. That's pretty good.
definitely looking good for them. Do have to deal with this orb of poison. It's a stack towards the ramp route. Don't mind the attempt from Complexity, but it won't be successful here. As soon as Config is cleared out of the A site, the round looks like it's only going one way. Yeah, really good stuff from Anonymo so far. This time, it's their turn to get a strong start on their map pick. Maybe this is what they need to turn this series round.
Yeah, especially the recovery after losing the third round, which normally could be a little bit shocking. Good to see that they're able to mentally get right back on track. Snacks gonna try and nade him out from behind there. Didn't even need it. Kyler shows up. These MAC-10s have been... They've been really hard to deal with, especially the jumping around the corner thing. It's just... It's really obnoxious when you're trying to hold a corner like that and someone does that to you, so... Happened a few times already. The orb, though, of poison is going to be rescued into the next round. That is actually still fine. That's a good job on poison at the very least.
Definitely good to carry that one over, and it will help subsidize this buy into the following round. He can drop a gun for his teammates, make sure they have one more premium rifle to work with, although they do have a couple of budget FAMASs in the mix ahead of this one. Still a chance for Complexity to try and bounce back here after losing a couple of rounds in a row. Anonymo have got a couple of players inner, but they're going to go back to yard. Maybe it's time to see some of those standard yard smokes.
Yeah, almost always a feature of these maps. So, double nade down there towards Squeak. And yeah, there's the wall. It's set up by Mini instead of by the red container, but that just serves slightly different purposes, and it's fine. Oh, a look over, though. Poison able to see Snacks and bring him down, and now a deep nade. Molotov, and they're going to have to take a little bit of damage running through that, so they get down secret. That's cool, but they've lost a player, and the other two have taken a fair bit of damage, so not exactly ideal right now for Anonymo.
They did get Innocent down vents earlier, though. So the rotation for Complexity has to be from ramp. It's not going to matter, though, because Poison is landing shots. He does get burned from beyond the grave. Minio eventually finding that trade kill, but Complexity remain a man to the good. Despite that smoke and molly landing, they'll stay a man up for this retake, but all three CTs at ramp right now.
Yes, they are. And that could absolutely be a problem. Now, there are no more nades on the Anonymous side. Otherwise, they could really slow them down here. They put the bomb down. They both group up. They don't even try and fall back. They're going to try and take the fight straight to them. And that actually could have worked. Look at the damage on JKS and Rush. If they would have won either one of those fights, that might have been really interesting. But a round for Complexity. And Anonymo, I mean, 2 kills is still decent. Would have been so much better if they could have landed that double kill. That would have been really something.
Still making the round competitive, though, which is nice for them, because off those 3-round wins earlier, off the bomb plant in this one, they have got that ability to just keep on buying, keep the pressure on Complexity, which is exactly what you want to be doing right now. Because even when Complexity win rounds, their losing bonus is just going to keep on decreasing. And that means if at some point you can break them, you can definitely go on another streak and start to build up even more rounds on the T side. So definitely some long-term implications to think about as we get into the latter stages of this first half. And in come those yard smokes again. Hopefully this time, they'll be aware of the possibility of poison peeking over.
Yeah, you gotta assume Zoe Blameth. That is a cool trick, but when it doesn't work and you don't get the kills, where do you go? This is a really awkward position. They try and run through, but JKS, he can't see a single thing, and he's still able to get that double kill. Config and Rush to follow it up. He is so blind. He is so unbelievably blind.
He just kept spraying, though, which I appreciate. I feel like some players might give up and just think, I'm blind. I don't know if I can keep on going for this. But he almost seemed to somehow manage to adjust his crosshair onto that second player. Maybe just some supersonic hearing or something. I don't know. But it worked out well for JKS. Definitely sets up that round win for them. And now it is Complexity's turn to try and go on a win streak of their own.
Yeah, still early on in the half here, so they can turn this around in a big way. Money is starting to run fairly low for Anonymo. Ooh, some smokes. I don't know if he managed to body block one of them enough. No, not really, but he's still out here in front of the wall. And if he can win the fight against Key, then he can maybe even get the information that no one else is out here. And that is huge news. Yeah, they've got to go right away. They don't want to wait any longer. Rush is going to get the 1 kill and actually just the triple. They get shut down. Yeah, so I guess the information was even a limited value there. But normally even that, just BlameF checking outside and seeing no one else is huge. And I guess that's why Anonymo just said, all right, you know, let's just do it.
Quite a cool way for Rush to play that spot, actually. He tucks in on the initial kill, so he waits for them to run out hut for that first man. And then, look, he kind of shuffles into just a slightly wider angle where they're coming out from hut, and it's just a bit awkward to look up to that position when he's moved ever so slightly. He just gets, I think, a slightly sooner angle where he can see them, can kind of see their feet as they're running out through the hut. And he definitely did a very good job at winning them that round. And now Anonymo are down to Deeds and a Scout.
Kyla definitely had the right idea out there with the Scout. I mean, he knew that someone was going to be out here. They are playing very aggressively Complexity around this red container, which is something we talked about in the pre-game as well. A little bit of damage there. BlameF is not looking too amused. See if they can get him out alive, or if he's just going to stick around and sacrifice himself in that position. Some shots are coming through. Snacks, oh, he had the right, he knew, but they just can't find BlameF out here.
Oh, he's still going. Goes up over the box, and now he's got JKS to back him up. Sure, BlameF will just hide and help his teammates. They both go down low. Finally, they find that kill onto BlameF. That's something, I suppose, that JKS will come in for the final kill of the round, and Complexity have turned this one into their favor. They take the lead off the back of a 4-round win streak.
Yeah, what a turnaround. It's a very back and forth match at the moment, but 4 rounds in a row. And the last 3 of them have been without a bomb plant at all. So that's also cause for a bit of concern. Anonymo are able to pick up AKs once again, and they have a fair bit to work with here. Let's see what they return to. Grouping up, and already actually a couple of nades landing through the ceiling. The classic Molotov. Oh.
Oh. That one's not a classic.
No. Not unless I'm playing.
Yeah, exactly. That's a classic silver molly right there.
Look at him. Innocent.
Again. Second time now he's got down those vents. And it does cause an issue for those rotations. You know, Config is kind of preemptively having to think about, okay, we've got to be ready for this B play. The yard smokes have come down again. So he's getting down to B initially. And you do have to commit quite heavily down to this B site. It's pretty hard to come back up to A. So that is something worth considering. But right now, it looks like Anonymo are starting to move down towards that lower side of the map.
It's so amazing when you get those vent drops down there, but it's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to make a lot out of them. So we'll see if this kind of a setup here for Config is able to defend. Waiting for the door to open. About 40 seconds. They come up behind him, and I mean, he does some damage, but there was no one else down there. So if you're Complexity now, I mean, you might want to set up and try and go for some sort of a retake. You have some money in the bank. You could maybe afford to lose the rifles even, but you're going to have to trust that you can actually get it done. Otherwise, of course, it's just a little bit of a waste here. We'll see. They have 2 Molotovs left on the Anonymous side, Hawker. I don't know if those are going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye on where those are positioned. One put down to the side of ramp. Now it's just so difficult. You're all getting funneled in from that same side.
Yep.
Complexity decide it's not worth the risk.
Yeah, because obviously they could have gone around, but then all of the crosshairs are going to be just trained on that right-hand side instead. So not really worth it. Yeah, another round. Anonymo keeping up. 6-6 tying the whole thing up, and it almost seemed like there wasn't that much going on in that round. Because it was all about whether or not Config could land a double kill or even just any kills.
It's tricky because ideally you would want 2 players probably rotated down to B early to have a better chance at locking that site down. But it does leave you much more susceptible to that A-sided play. And it is really hard to get down from B up to A quickly. So it's a tricky game you have to play. You have to know which one you're going to do. This time, Complexity decide to only have 1 man rotate down. And unfortunately, if that 1 player on B can't perform, that's how the round is going to end up most of the time.
13th round. BlameF Still, I would say an aggressive position, but not in contrast with the other rounds that he's been playing out here. A little bit more conservative in staying back. Setting up that one-way smoke. And he's not seen any action out here, which in itself, you know, is some good information to play off if they trust it and if they feel like, okay, well then let's try and cement that A defense a bit more. Well, it might be too late now. JKS flashed. Nice grenade coming in there from the T side, but Rush, he's able to get the kill anyway, taking down Kyler. And now they've been slowed down so much, they have to expect that they can't make this work. He couldn't even get back. Oh no.
It was a quick kill from Poison, and Config takes his turn to go off with the AWP. He makes it a second kill. Snacks trying to come in above, but Config will just back away. Gives Snacks an unwinnable 1v5. Drops down into the open arms of Config. And that information that BlameF is starting to get on Yard has been really effective for Complexity here. He's been doing that in quite a few rounds now as this half has gone on. And whenever you realize that the smoke's a complete fake, it just gives you so much more of an ability to back up those other bomb sites. You see the counter utility coming in early because they're ready on that A site to stop the push, and you just completely take the pace out of that attack.
Ooh, Innocent. Can he do the vent dive once again? Oh, nope. He got sidetracked and killed. It's, you know, it's really, you should get some kind of, you know, risk hazard payment, I guess they call it, for doing that kind of job. It's not often you get to live.
JKS wasn't, I mean, he obviously wasn't even trying to land the wallbang there. He was just trying to spam the vents itself so that someone couldn't drop. But I guess that's a happy little accident for him to get that kill early. And now Anonymo have got to find a plan B in this one.
Yeah, need to recover this. Complexity, a little bit back on track. Rush, playing this intelligently, which I would expect nothing less out of him. Not sticking around for the headshot fight, nothing like that. It's like, all right, we're a man up. I'm just going to recognize that there are two people there and fall back and play a better position. Oh! That is a Counter-Strike classic, isn't it? JKS, even inside of the fire, getting the kill. Poison, he is really fast with those flicks, and he will take all three of them down. But credit to JKS, actually, as well, just on top of that, for even getting the one kill there. That slows it down a bit and gives Poison more of a shot as well.
Absolutely. And we are getting those individuals shining on the Complexity side, which is always fun to watch. They've guaranteed themselves the lead at the half, but they'd love to get it up to a 9-6 lead with this last round win. It's Anonymo who are slightly weakened with their buy. Only 2 premium rifles available for them, but plenty of nades at their disposal. And you can never discount those Mac 10s and Tech 9s running at you quickly. They can be scary.
Anonymo started so well. I feel like 6 rounds is a little bit on the low side. Trying to get one more on the board here, but Rush is doing such a fantastic job. Big double already for him. He's finally going to be going down, and Poison walking in, and I don't think he even checked below him, and somehow it turns around. It started off so well for Complexity, but Anonymo getting just enough space to get some very important kills. Now it's Config on his own, and he's going to go down to Minio, so it will finish 8-7 in favor of Complexity. We'll see if they can continue or if Anonymo can get us on that third map. It's coming up after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Second map here on the B Street between Complexity and Anonymo and Hawker. They split that first half right down the middle. I feel like a lot of things could have worked out way better for Anonymo. They could have had more than 7 rounds, couldn't they?
It definitely felt that way initially, but Complexity adapted well. They get themselves into a good position, and they've got a chance to try and keep that going here with this pistol round. Key going aggressive, though, just taking the fight to them, and he gets rewarded for his bravery with a couple of early kills. They can't get Key out of the round. Finally, Config trades, but that is a huge amount of impact early on.
He did it in the first half pistol as well, and it is very, very useful for them at this point in time. Dualies on Kyle haven't been put into play yet at all. They didn't even need them. But Config and BlameF, they have time on their side. And that is about the most positive thing we could say. Maybe they've stolen the USP. That's also kind of cool. But they need to get very fortunate in their fight selection here. They need to get that USP, some long-range kills, and then try and see if they can find a bomb site eventually. There's a chance. And yeah, now at least that part of the information has been given over to the other side. Config is, I don't know, not able to land a shot. He's been given almost no chance, right? It's been all very slow. Ooh, there's one. Taking down Innocent. That could change a lot. BlameF up here. Just close. If they could bait someone close to the Glock, that'll make a big difference. But, yeah, Target has run away. Snacks is down there. And we're at about 20 seconds. A bit of a flashbang to set it up. Good kill. Are they going to check it in the corner? It's Kyler. He goes down. Oh, no. 15 seconds. And they're going to go straight for the bomb plant here. From a 2 versus 4 into a 2-on-1. What on earth is going on, Hawker?
Just a complete collapse from Anonymo, but maybe Minio can save them. 2 different angles, though, and I think Config and BlameF will be able to link up here. The 2 Danes have got positions where they can just hold a crossfire, have those 2 separate angles, but Minio bypasses that. Config could be caught. Great shot from Minio, and now he can get towards the bomb. Kit recovered. BlameF eventually lands the shot he was looking for, and it is those 2 Danes for Complexity that get all the kills between them and somehow make it work.
Oh, man. That should never happen. I mean, it's hard to say because I actually think Complexity played that round really, really well. But it's so heartbreaking. If you're Anonymo, you must have felt like that round is won already, and then you have to just watch it slowly slip out of your hands. Upsetting.
Yeah, they'd like to just put that behind them and win this round because they have got a force buy. But that previous round is a real sucker punch for them. Probably weren't expecting to lose that. All of a sudden it happens. They've done some good damage early here, though. JKS is very low on health. Poison has also taken a bit of damage. So that's a decent start for Anonymo, even if they haven't found a kill outright.
I mean, they did a good job at Anonymo of turning things around. Even when Complexity was starting to look good in that first half, so they never really let them just run away. It'd be amazing if they could follow that same pattern here and take it right back. They have lost Innocent, and can they find anything with the scout? Snacks, kind of searching. Wow, that did a lot more damage than I was expecting. Leaves a bit of an issue for Kylar down here. The CZ-75 is pretty good at close range, but there are a lot of targets and a limited amount of bullets, so not this time.
Bomb has been planted.
Not today. At least not in that round. Minio just roaming. Somewhat similar to the previous round, except this time he can't even win it. He's really just looking for kills at the end. Complexity are really coming through with some good showings from their players here on Nuke. Another game for them where it is very even across the board for all their fraggers, which is great to see for this Complexity squad. We know they've got a lot of talent on this roster, so this is more of what we expect to see from the European squad and the one American of Russia in there. Can't forget about him. Whereas for Anonymo, there is a bit of a disparity. I think yet again, Innocent has had another slow game, which is a shame because I really think he is a player who can do a lot, but we haven't seen it so far throughout our games on this stream.
No, not just yet. He had a nice recovery in one of those games yesterday, but, you know, you'd rather see him come out punching hard at the beginning. They do have 3 HEs in this round that they could try and do something with down here towards the ramp room. That could, at least one of them is there. That could be interesting. But it's not done yet. But presumably this will be 11-7. And at that point, the number don't have a lot of rope left before things start to get really uncomfortable. And I think Complexity are going to be fine playing the T side of Nuke. You know, they're going to be decently good at that.
Yeah, I'm sure they will be. Wouldn't be surprised to see rounds where BlameF is playing towards that yard position and trying to really press the issue, either as a solo player or sometimes with his teammates there to back him up. This stack on the B site can be annoying just because there are a couple of different angles. But at the same time, Complexity know they have the weaponry advantage at range. So they haven't used many of their nades early, which leaves them with a lot of utility to take the sites. And they haven't even really needed to use that utility because they've just walked into A freely. And Anonymo will finally realize their stack has betrayed them.
Yeah, I mean, and Complexity really using everything they could there to find out where anyone was on that bomb site. So it's good to see them being very patient about that. We saw how it backfired for Anonymo going for those A rushes, you know, in the first half. So no one wanted to repeat that on the Complexity side. Minio is going to be going down. They got a couple of kills here. Feels pretty good. Don't think it'll make a big difference. Ultimately, it's going to come down to this one round here. Orc being picked up by Minio, and yeah, they can't have the AWP on Snacks. That's a bit of a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, especially if they were to lose this one, then they would have very few chances to get that AWP out, which would be a shame considering how he played yesterday on this map. We've got that MAC-10 carried on through by JKS, and he had a pretty good spawn here, so maybe he's going to try and make a play early.
Oh, JKS getting right down into the vent. Again, we saw Innocent do it a couple of times and also fail it at least once. It's high risk. Rush is getting caught by Snacks. He was not expecting that at all. That is funny. 4 on 5 now. And JKS would have loved for someone to come chase him down. Snacks actually is thinking about it, but, you know, did he go down? He did. And JKS takes him right down. And he might not have had any head armor either. He died really quickly.
Definitely a possibility with how this round has started for Anonymo. They haven't been able to get quite a full buy on all their players. Innocent lines up 2, but BlameF finally comes in for the refrag. JKS able to upgrade his gun. Still a lot of time for Complexity to work with, but it could be difficult for JKS and BlameF to work together here. JKS is still down on B while BlameF is up on the higher side of the map. And BlameF has the bomb right now.
Oh, yeah. That is always a bit of an issue with 30 seconds. Oh, but he wins the fight against Key. That is big news. Gives them a chance now. Still a 2-on-2, though. Coming up out of the vents with a little bit of help. They're trying to set that smoke off and make sure no one can come and shoot them as they get onto the bomb site. They have just flashbangs left really on either side, so it's not going to be so easy to try and retake it with that coming up out of the smoke. JKS, he's got the right idea, and he's done a lot of damage, but he didn't actually get the kill. BlameF trying to make the escape. The bomb is planted out in front, so it's on the right side, but they're going to double team him, and he has no idea. Almost getting the double spray down, and Minio will drop right afterwards. A quad kill, but certainly with the assistance of JKS and that damage from the initial spray. What a round.
A big round from BlameF, and that initial fight is incredible to win because the opponent had the shadow advantage. He saw the shadow, but I guess because BlameF crouched around the corner, his crosshair was a bit too high. BlameF reacts really fast. Really hard fight to win to begin with to even get them into that position, but what a round from BlameF, showing us what he's made of. Wins the 1-on-2 at the end. And that is another devastating round loss for Anonymo. They've had a couple of those now where they lose a round that was really close that they could have won, and it puts them into a really precarious position where they're only able to get Deegs in this one.
Yeah, such a hard match right now. Anonymo, they need that momentum back in their favor and need to get something rolling here. Complexity, again, yesterday, just by comparison, it was becoming a bit of a meme, just losing every single 2-on-2. And that's not true at all today. They're looking much more solid. Kyla runs into JKS and ends up much worse for it. And they're just slowing this round down. They're not, again, not trying to speed anything up here on the T side.
No real reason to. Blame F almost caught out. He was alone in that position. So if he goes down, it could have been an AK lost. It could have been an opening into that round for Anonymo. But instead, it just goes from bad to worse for them. Keep on falling one by one. And any chance, any slither of hope they had in this round has been snatched away from them.
13-7. Well, Key gets a bit of a say, but swiftly dispatched with afterwards. So 6-round gap is what we're currently looking at. So far, you could see at the top there, it's a block of red favoring Complexity. 5 rounds in a row. And Anonymo, man, they need to turn this around right this minute. And well, I guess we'll find out how they're planning on doing that. A little bit of a conversation, I think, going on. Maybe some tech issue to solve that. But at the moment, one of the things that worked really well for Complexity on their CT side was some of that cool aggression from BlameF outside. I mean, I'd love to see that mirrored on Anonymous side. That could be fun.
I think in general, so far, BlameF has definitely got the better of that yard fight. In general, it's going to be BlameF against Key there. Those are the two players that are almost always defaulting into that spot. And there were a couple of times in that first half where Key ended up getting caught out. So maybe it is Key's turn to try and get his revenge here, because BlameF is top of the scoreboard right now. And a lot of pressure on Snacks too in this round. He's finally got the chance to have that sniper. He hasn't had the chance to have it so far. And whenever you finally get that AWP into your hands, you're not going to have many chances to use it if you lose this round. So he's got to make the most of it while he can.
Oh, he's in the right position. He looked like he was walking back at the wrong time. Oh, no! If he'd held it for another 100th of a second, Hawker, it would have been fine. It is the story of Counter-Strike, isn't it?
Every time, man. Every time. And now this is good for Complexity. They'll get those yard smokes going. They've got that man advantage to work with. I don't know if Anonymo can really risk committing heavily to those yard fights. Key is looking over those smokes right now, though, so he's getting some good information back.
Yeah, definitely valuable. But the problem is BlameF is still out there, so this main push coming through Squeak, if he gets sidetracked, Key, and if he starts looking towards Mini to help out, BlameF could be there shooting him in the back pretty quickly. Innocent, first line of defense as they smoke off Key towards Mini. Some spray coming through, and now they're finally going to be coming out. It's a pretty good trade right now. Innocent has to stay alive and has to get another kill. He's got some backup in here, but Poison in with the pistol. Now there's 20 seconds, but the bomb is committed to the site, so they have to run in here now. Shooting Kyla in the feet, and he's going to be going down. They line up for Minio, but it is not enough. Still, somehow, they come away with a win. Complexity at 14 rounds. Unreal.
Yeah, it's Config's turn to shine through in that round, apparently. Somehow got that final kill too on the spray. I think he was behind his teammate, but he makes it work. And it's just been a clean sweep for Complexity so far in this second half. It's just been a completely different team today. We're seeing that individual prowess. I think we're seeing good enough fundamentals from them to put themselves in these winnable positions, which they are making the most of. And now Anonymo could be on their last legs here.
Well, it certainly feels like it. Now they're really getting punished. It almost feels like Complexity have reached that state where they're just having almost a little bit too much fun. Snacks has found the bomb awkwardly outside of T-spawn, but he misses the chance for a 1-deek and no scope. I don't know what's happening any longer. He tried it all.
Oh, and he might want to try some more. Molly goes down, but Snacks is focused on repositioning. This is nice from Innocent. Oh, no, he pulls the trigger too soon. doesn't get the chance to get the kill onto Rush, but there are so many angles he can peek from above. Unfortunately, he's lost his teammate, but he's got the bomb. That could allow Innocent to have a chance at the ace clutch, but Blame F catches him off guard, and Complexity find 15.
Wow. All red at the top here for Complexity, just winning 7 rounds in a row for the second half here. That's a pretty strong statement. And Anonymo not at the moment able to keep up with the Complexity side. I think it's encouraging to see, if nothing else. Like, we were really thoroughly depressed yesterday by Complexity's performance, and I'm happy to see that not be a thing of the current. Oh, all right. That's a legitimate circus act, isn't it?
I love it. I love it. I don't know if I've seen that before. The run boost onto the box at Yard certainly feels like a confidence play, and that is also a confidence play from Key. He's been up there a couple of times, but this is the first time he's been able to take a fight from that position. I feel like Blame F has killed Key so often in this game, though, and he gets him again.
Well, back into a 3-on-3. I've not seen that run boost either, but you could tell how powerful that could be. Oh, Kyler, he was distracted. It's shocking that he even got the kill, and he follows it up. I feel like the fact that his teammate went down behind him almost got Kyler killed as well. Now it's Blame F with a minute and a 1 versus 2. And it's all about timing here. Minio, if he walks back in as Blame F is... Well, he's not going to do that. All right, it's all good. They win another round, 15-8.
There we go, Anonymo. Finally putting an end to that sea of red that we were talking about earlier. Gotta say, a sea of red sounds quite terrifying. So I'm glad that we can put an end to that and get some blue in there. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, still plenty of money for Complexity.
Well, if like me, Hawker, you were into cryptocurrencies, you'd be just used to it. You know, just another day.
Oh boy.
You just become numb to the pain eventually. Well, it's 15-8. Anonymo finally with a round on that second half of the key. It wasn't the Blame F experience he was looking for. Not at all.
I'm going to have to look at the end of this game how many times Blame F has killed Key, because I feel like that's just been such a one-sided duel at Yard.
Yeah. Yeah, it is something that Blame F is almost an expert at, so I feel like you're right. It's been going in his favor a lot. Minio. Oh, that was a wide swing for JKS. And Key, he can't really stick around either. You're going to have to try and fall back a little bit. Oh, he had the right idea. No, he was right there. That would have really made a difference in the round. But Rush doubling back to check and gets what he wanted. Now it's Snacks alone in a 1 versus 4 to try and save the whole series, and it's not going to happen. Rush will take him down, and it's 16-8 in favor of Complexity, winning in 2 maps, taking down Anonymo. That's a very, very good result. Hawker, I'm surprised. How about you?
Yeah, especially on that second map, quite an even more one-sided result for Complexity. And that is definitely impressive. I think an important sort of statement game here for them to say they are going to be coming back and playing for those RMR points, which they really need to do, because we want to see Complexity at the major. So good for them to get back on track. And I think just so many individual plays throughout this series, which is always what I'm looking for from this team.
Yeah, it was remarkable. BlameF having himself an amazing game, and obviously JKS and Config in the first map as well. Just a lot of positive takeaways, I feel like. So, I mean, that's everything we wanted. I was not expecting it. They just looked so defeated yesterday. But that's great news. And Anonymo definitely not playing up, I think, to the level that we were all expecting. So that's a little bit upsetting, but I guess it's a part of the journey of building a team in some sense, and I'm sure we'll see them back pretty soon as well. Well, before we get on to any kind of discussion about anything else, we'll go to a break, and then we'll be back. We have another best of 3 coming up, of course, on the channel, and we'll also get Alan back and everything else, so stay with us, and we will return. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was a bit of an interesting game there between Complexity and Anonymo, and a much improved Complexity, as we can see on the highlights here. In fact, all of them were playing so much better. Alan, we didn't get to see that third map, but we've got to be happy for Complexity's major prospects now. They look like a team that could reach the major, don't they?
Certainly, and if you just contrast them to yesterday, totally different team. I mean, if you took the nameplates off and you watch these teams, there is no way on earth you would say this is the same team that we saw yesterday up against FPX. Just completely different in every respect. The late round scenarios in this game were actually going into their favor. So the first half was very nip and tuck, very close. The second half, Anonymo lost every single crucial situation. This 1-on-2 we're seeing here for Blame F, the pistol round as well, that was a 2-on-4. And from there, it was all Complexity on the second half of the T side. And the Anonymo guys, you have to feel for them. But if we reflect on the kind of the event as a whole for them, a great showing from them, considering we didn't know much about this team before the event.
Yeah, that is a good point. Definitely for a first showing, it's actually pretty impressive if you think about it that way. Hawker, I mean, do you have any takeaways, especially from that second map there on Nuke? What did we learn, do you think, about the way that Anonymo played that, and what do you think they could improve?
I think it was quite tough for them, especially as that first half went on, when Blame F started to get a lot of that information at yards, and that's something you're going to have to deal with when going against the top teams on Nuke. Now, I was kind of saying in the pregame, oftentimes you get good performances from those IGLs, especially those fragging IGLs on Nuke, and Blame F certainly showed us that, getting 25 kills. And he also, I'm looking up the stat now, he killed Key 7 times throughout that game and only died to him twice. And that is a really big deal. When those yard fights on Nuke are going your way, it just has a huge influence on the whole map. So I think that was actually a pretty big deal in this game.
Yeah, that is really wild. That's a level of dominance you don't get to see that often, and I'm sure that would have contributed to Key not feeling that confident at all about what was going on out there. That kind of a yard aggression, Alan, I mean, we talked about it early on. I feel like most people know that Blameth play that way when he's out there. Why is it so hard to stop him?
I don't know, to be honest. I'd have to be in the teams playing against him to be totally fair. I think it's likely to be a scenario that he has a lot of options he can drop into. So even though it might be quite easy to say, especially when you're casting with X-Ray on, that he's always pushing up towards the red crate or into garage. You know, when you're actually in game, it's very hard to read, especially so the CT player will often put a smoke down by that red crate to allow them to cross into garage or even faster secret or play up close. And it just denies so much information. So as long as you're playing the outer spot correctly, as Blame F does, it can be really, really tricky to read exactly where they're playing. So we can't knock Anonymo too much. I think look at it more from the Blame F perspective, where he could be a really phenomenal outer player on both sides, actually, when he's in kind of his top form.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see, and it's obviously a huge resource. I mean, this time it was Key that was maybe the main victim of it, but we've seen other teams fall to exactly that kind of thing as well. And I don't know, I got the feeling that Rush was back to his old tricks again, just doing a lot of work inside of the team. You know, maybe not always in the most flashy position, but to me, he feels like the glue that's holding this whole team together. Would you agree with that, Hawker?
Yeah, I like what Rush brings to this squad. I just think, I think it was Maui Snake who said that whenever he wants to learn how to play a spot, he'll oftentimes just go look for how Rush plays it, because he's probably keeping up to date with a lot of the new stuff. He rarely makes mistakes for this team, which is definitely important for them, and it's definitely come through on that map. You got to see him doing well on the fragging. I think on both maps he was pretty solid for the team, so all in all, a good series for Rush, and I think he definitely helps, enable some of those other options so that Playmeth can cool around himself. We saw in quite a few of those rounds, he'd be lurking through yard. He'd be putting himself in those good positions, and it definitely paid off. Yeah,
it's nice to see. That's a good idea. I mean, having one or two players like that you could study up on to see how that almost feels like cheating for an exam. You're just copying someone else's homework. But I guess people do that all the time, so really, why not? We never got to see what would have happened on Inferno. Of course, that was maybe one of the interesting tests, but that whole problem of winning clutches just went right out the window. Do you think at this point, with the experience that they have on a team like Complexity, doing that day 1 to day 2 type recovery, Alan, is even a problem? Is that something that they're just past, or do you think that's something that they put real time and resources into in terms of thinking about?
I think yesterday was so much of an off day, and it's very hard to know exactly from the outside. Maybe we could even find out in an interview in a minute why, but clearly there was something very kind of intrinsic going wrong, whether it was communication or someone like Blamer potentially not, grabbing the team by the scruff of the neck when stuff was going wrong. But whatever changed today looks so much better in those late round scenarios, so much more decisive. It felt like they're actually being the proactive team versus yesterday, when every single time it was just FPX making the play in the afterparts and seemingly winning every single situation. So from that whole respect, I'm not totally sure what they changed, but certainly coming into today's game, their approach, they, at least from the outside, they looked very different in those late round scenarios, and it felt to me like they were the more proactive team this time than we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, if you just stripped away all of the HUD and didn't know who was playing, it'd be hard to guess that those were the same two teams playing. So, kind of remarkable, kind of cool to see, and I just hope I hope they're back to that level. I actually really like watching Complexity play when they're playing this kind of Counter-Strike. They're like a really fun team to watch. So hopefully we can just get a lot more out of that. While we're waiting for the interview, hopefully to be set up, maybe we could just have a quick... I'm trying to get a feel for it. I feel like the two most hated maps in the map pool still, in the moment, are Mirage and Dust 2. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like the Vertigo hate has subsided so much. Obviously, Train was the one that somehow got nuked from the pool. I don't think anyone saw that coming, but... where are you guys on that? Is there a third map that you don't like if there had to be more choices made, or does it fall between one of those two for you as well?
It's for me, Dust 2 is the map that should have gone, and I'd like to see go for something else. I think the Train move was reasonably simple. It was just the least played map, and that's almost certainly why the decision was made. But for me, Dust 2 has a lot of intrinsic problems where, certainly at a lower level or a casual level of play, it's perfectly fine. It's very functional, common. It's been around for so many years, but at the peak level of play, there's simply not enough options. There's simply not enough ways to get information as the CT side. Yeah, fair enough. In the last few months, maybe with some of the CIS teams, Gambit, VP, we've seen more kind of redefining how you play CT side, getting more aggressive towards mid, for example. But it's not enough for me, and the map just intrinsically has too many flaws. You probably could fix a few of them with fairly heavy changes, but I'd just like to see something new in general. And so for me, it would have been Dust to come out of the map pool if it had been my decision.
Where do you fall on that spectrum, Hawk? Are you in on that, or I mean, you could pick another one if you want as well.
I thought I was going to have a cool different take, but no, pretty much exactly the same as Alan. I think Dust 2 is just... It's just not got enough options, I think is the right way of putting it. And the thing I like about Mirage is I think you actually do have quite a few options. I think some different teams will play it in pretty different ways still, just because it's quite a standard sort of layout for a map. So you can go for set plays if you want to. I think Big were a team who were doing that quite a lot when they were picking it towards the end of last year. Generally, you would say Mirage is still a map where you kind of see Complexity playing it there. We're pretty happy to just play it loose and all sort of scrim it out. But I think the fact that you can have a few more of those options is a really good thing. And because of that, I think Mirage for me is a map that I'm happy to see stay. I know some people say it gets stale, but I don't know. For me, I don't think it gets too stale. I think there are still just enough new things that come in every now and then, which personally keep me entertained. But I'm sure that comes down to personal preference. I can see why some people might get bored of it.
All right. Well, I'll keep this unofficial census going a little bit longer. Then it's hard for me to figure out what people want. Maybe people don't even know half the time. But yeah, I feel like more people are starting to switch over to the Dust 2 sound a little bit. Alan, just a throwback to what was happening on Mirage. Did you remember that moment where Config was in that 1v1 against Snacks and he sort of jumped on Ticket? Yeah, like that kind of a play is like, there's no way that you can teach Config not to do that, and it's almost like if you could, maybe you'd end up taking away some of the other mental stuff that makes him so good. But it's funny to see. I feel like because he's obviously such an elite player, but there's something about that. Like, would you try and work on that if you were coaching the team in any fashion? Would you try and do that, or would you say like, you know what, that's just like a downside that we just have to take with us, you know?
Yeah, so for that example specifically, I had to watch it back 2 or 3 times because it did shock me a little bit. I don't actually know what happened. I would not be remotely surprised if it was a communication mistake and somebody said he's like
Ah,
bottom connector or something, and he thought
he's
I could get a
solo.
good swing off, and then he peeks out and he's already on stairs and just dies. So um,
Well,
I don't know which way around it is.
you know what? We have Config with us for an interview, so we can ask him about that. Because I thought it was funny, and I thought it was amazing. Config, you're here with us, and we appreciate it very much. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good after a good win.
Hopefully, yes. There we go.
I think it was a good like tournament or like a match for us in general. The BO3 was it felt great.
All right. Well, that is fantastic. I mean, it turned into a very interesting game at the end of it. Compared to day one, or yesterday at least, you guys played so much better. Looked like a completely different team. What is the reason for that? How come it was such a different match today versus yesterday?
I think yesterday we had a really hard time playing together as a team, and we just got owned by FPX. So it didn't feel great to play at all, honestly. And today we like met up and we had like a good talk about how they play and how they want to play and what we want to do as a team. And it felt really nice just playing with the boys in general. Like it was a good atmosphere. Everything felt great.
Well, that's going to be a positive sign for the future that you're able to turn those things around. What's your feelings around Anonymo as a team right now? Because obviously they got a lot of spotlights because of that Red game versus NIP, but do you think that they have a strong future just having played with them or against them a couple of times here?
I think that they can beat everyone. Honestly, I think that they're potentially a really good team. Like I think they could like develop into being a strong like contender for like a major spot or like go far in tournaments and stuff. But there's always like a lot of work that needs to be done when you're creating a brand new team. And of course, Snax is still a strong player. Like when you get opt by Snax, you still knows that he's pretty quick, even though for an old guy.
Yeah. Some of us old guys love to hear that kind of thing. I feel like the hype around JKS getting picked up at the beginning was really overwhelming, and then we haven't really seen too much out of it. But these two games today, he played really well. Do you feel like the integration of him into the team is starting to work better than it maybe did in the beginning?
I think it's really hard in the beginning when you like add a new player, and then he has to focus on how we want to play, and he has to figure out what his new roles and all that stuff. So I think like when he gets comfortable in the team, that's when he plays really good, and we still have to work on that to make him like super comfortable. Like the rest of us have been here for a long time, and he's still the newest addition. So I think it just takes time. Like I still believe in him.
Well, that is fantastic. I don't know, Hawker or Alan, do you have any questions to follow up? I'd love to get as much of a config as we can here.
Yeah, I think the question I have is, so back at Pro League config, you had some really brilliant results, some really incredible series, beating teams like Na'Vi and Virtus Pro, giving Heroic a really good match. And then that was only a month ago, really. And now at Flashpoint, it's been a bit up and down. Obviously, the FPX game wasn't great. So how do you reflect on Flashpoint, and how would you compare it to how you played at Pro League just over a month ago?
I think we haven't seen each other for a really, really long time, so we just need a boot camp to get back on track, to see each other in the eyes and like be a team. And we're gonna like have a boot camp really soon. So, online CS is really hard to play, honestly. Like everybody is so strong, like individually, and people are so unpredictable in their game style, like game plan and everything. So, as long as we're in the room together, I think we're gonna do great.
Nice. All right, I'll go ahead and ask one. I want to know, coming into today, you know, having that option to pick Mirage this time, does that make a good difference for you guys? Because we kind of know that's almost like your home ground. I know you especially have had some insane games on Mirage lately. So was that a nice thing to have after that rough performance yesterday? You just get to come straight into a map you love?
I think it's always nice to play Mirage for us as a team, but it's always like we also playing different maps. Like we also play Vertigo, and we also try to play like good on Inferno. So we can like pick everything, but of course it's a comfort map for us. Like you see that we pick it all the time almost. So it's really nice to play Mirage. I like the map. It's really good that they haven't removed it for Ancient. So Train's gone. Thank you for that, Valve.
I feel like asking professional players with what maps they want removed, you're always going to get a slightly biased answer. So let's not even go down that road specifically. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was encouraging to see you guys play so well today. So I'm happy. I'm happy to see that. Are there any other teams that are in this particular qualifier that have surprised you in terms of what they've been playing? Like, I know personally for me, FPX were playing a lot better than I thought. But is there anyone that's been standing out to you? Some of the other teams out there?
Honestly, it's FPX as well. I think they're a really good team. Like we've been practicing against them a lot, and they are like pretty good. So it's not like we're scared of them, but they're like a better team than what I expected for sure.
All right. It feels like that's there's some consensus there. In terms of the eyes being on FPX. Do you think is that going to be a problem for them next tournament? Then do you think they're going to run into that wall where suddenly people will respect them a lot more?
I definitely think that like when you're coming into a tournament and you don't play that many officials, you have a lot of practice time, then you can like switch up your game style a lot. And I think that's what they're doing. Like we didn't really expect how they played, but they of course they played some kind of the same style, but they always switch it up. And if people look into them a lot, I think they're gonna like figure out how they like to play and how they like to call their T rounds. And they're really strong on CT as well. You just need to find the gaps.
Well, I think I certainly look forward to that. Alan, I'm going to give you the last question before we let Config go, so you can go practice some more Counter-Strike. But Alan, do you have anything on your mind for the last question?
I just wanted to ask about Poison as a player. I was just wondering how vocal is he as a player? Does he like to call how he plays off his spawns, particularly on the CT side, or is it more like the team that wants him to be proactive? Because for me, Poison's at his best when he's all over the map, when he's really taking over the game, playing really aggressively. So what is Poison like as a player actually inside of the team?
I think we forced him a little bit to like be really active, to like say what he want to do every single round. So if he has like a good spawn, then he should do something with his spawn instead of being useless. Like sometimes a lot of Orbers still like go to the same position all the time and don't like abuse their spawns, because he can get so many easy picks, and when he's popping off, you know it's gonna be an easy CT and T side if he gets like those entry kills all the time. Like I think he's definitely the best Orber I've ever played with for sure, and he just needs to find his own level again. And I think it will show very soon that he's an insane player again.
All right. Well, I look forward to that. That's a big statement as well. We appreciate your time, Config. Thank you so much. And again, congratulations on the win today. It was looking really good, so we appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Well,